Well, well, well. If it makes you feel any better, F1, at least Verstappen's consecutive laps led record is over. Look, I'm trying to look for a positive here when it comes to this level of dominance, but I'm not going to lie to you. I'm struggling. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the WTF1 Wrap, powered by MoneyGram. I am your host, Dre Harrison. Glad you could join us after a... Actually, that was a pretty good Austrian Grand Prix, to be honest. I thought that could have been far worse than how it actually turned out in the end. Yeah, we are here with you guys, the fine WTF1 audience. Thank you for joining us on your Sunday afternoon. I hope there's not too many disappointed cricket fans in the house, because I had that on the second TV a minute ago, and that I was going to wear the England jersey just to play up the joke, but unfortunately we lost the last wicket just before the stream started, so that's a bummer. But anyway, I've got a very cool guest with me here. You probably recognise him. You're probably thinking, where is that face from? I'm sure I've seen it before. Especially if you've played the Formula 1 games out here, because joining me, I'm very pleased to announce, is the one, the only Adam Sanderson. You probably know him better as Devon Butler from the Formula 1 game series. Also a new member of the WTF1 Talent expansion as well. We're very glad to have him on board with us. So Adam, say hi to the WTF1 audience. How's it going?
Hey, how you doing? Thank you very much for having me on. It's an absolute pleasure. I know it might be a bit echoey, but you're going to have to deal with that today.
We've had far patchier technical screw-ups on this since we started the WTF1 Wrap. We will happily take this in the grand scheme of things. So, thanks for joining us, man. And
of course.
And pleasure you have it on. I mean, it's not the first time. You may have seen him on the post-race podcast as well. We had after the last Grand Prix as well with Harry and Callan. So do check that out if you haven't already. And of course, the video we made a couple of weeks ago for F1 23's release. Where I found out that Mr. Butler, no surprise, is actually quite a talented sim driver in his own right. Man blew me out of the water. Like, we didn't even know. We spent about half an hour after we'd finished shooting trying to get anywhere near Adam's lap times, and we just couldn't. But we just couldn't do it. we were shown up quite really.
I appreciate it. I really enjoyed that day. Even the camera op decided to have a go, even because he is quite an avid sim racer. And I felt very honoured that he didn't come close. That was good.
Yeah, that was that's our editor Benji. You may know him on our Discord server.
Cheers, Benji.
If you're a part of our WTF1 Discord server, do check that out if you haven't already. Thanks everyone in the chat for tuning in. We've got a couple of early comments in there. Don Butler saying, sad England fan here too. Yeah, you and me both, big man. You and me both. Terrifying Ghost says RB19 is the new MP4/4. You're probably not far off the way this season's going so far, because I mean, Adam, what did you make of that race first and foremost? I mean, it's hard not to get... It's hard trying to spin up new ways of saying Max Verstappen was dominant, but Max Verstappen was dominant.
Good spin. No, he was absolutely dominant. I mean, it was never really in doubt. You saw how Perez was able to cut through the field from down in P15, I believe he started, all the way up to P3. He had a bit of a trouble getting past Sainz. But never in doubt, really. Never in doubt that the Red Bull are going to be up there on the podium, both of them. I'm very happy that Perez was actually able to showcase more of his overtaking ability on this race, because he's had obviously a bad couple of qualifying sessions. In the last 3 or 4, he hasn't made it to Q3. So I'm glad he's finally able to pick himself out of that rut. But yeah, Max Verstappen, never in doubt, really.
I mean, it says a lot when, instead of a 24-second lead, and the fact that with 3 laps to go, they thought it's too risky to go for fastest lap, and then Max talked them into it, risked the win for a free-stop strategy just to get 1 extra point for fastest lap, and then pulled it off anyway. That is 2 middle fingers up to the rest of the field, as far as I'm concerned. That is humiliation from Max Verstappen.
That's just an insight into how Max Verstappen thinks. He doesn't just want to win, he wants to dominate. He's one of those characters that if the opportunity is there to maximise potential, say for example, he didn't really care about, didn't really think too much about whether the Red Bull mechanics were, I don't know, going to cross-thread one of the bearings on the tyre when they're fitting it in the pit stop. He was like, you know what, I trust you, let's go, just do it. He just wanted to absolutely get as many points as he can that weekend. Although, I must say, over the span of the weekend, he's now dropped his what was it? laps led. I've forgotten how many laps he had, but he was just about to overtake the most laps consecutively led, because obviously Leclerc, for a part of that race,
Was
took
ahead.
P1.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact stats, but he's now dropped it only for like, I don't know, 5-10 laps until it took him to overtake him again.
I want to say the final streak was 249 consecutive laps led. I think it's the 4th longest streak in the history of F1 for consecutive laps led. I think he was one away from third. If they'd gone a little bit longer, they would have gotten to the magical 250 barrier, which would have been insane. But we are witnessing dominance on an entirely new level. I actually got a great stat from a fan on Twitter, Rowdy Bush, big Carl Bush fan, as you can probably guess by his username. Must be a big NASCAR guy. Scott tweeted me and he said, quote, "Here's a wild stat for you that you might want to mention on the show. Since the start of 2021, Verstappen has won as many races as Fernando Alonso has won in his entire career, and the same amount of championships too." It's his 32nd win since the start of 2021.
Yeah.
He's won 21 out of the last 30. I think he's won 22 out of the last 31. This is all-time level dominance we're watching right now. I know some people will think it's boring. I'm one of these record-breaking fanatics. I love sports in general. I mean, I'm coming to you wearing a Dortmund shirt right now. I mean, I love my sports, so I will always have a level of intrigue about records being broken. But it's hard not to argue that this is ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, he's showing dominance on another level. But I still do believe if I were to pick between, this is going to be controversial.
Okay.
But if I were to pick between Max Verstappen or Fernando Alonso in my team, I'd still go for Alonso.
Okay, maybe the body of work of maybe Alonso's career, given the last 20 odd years now since he started. I mean, this is understandable.
Racecraft, he's still got unbelievable pace. And if you're thinking team game, he's less likely to get frustrated and punt his teammate off on a turn that he believes he has the right to. So, for example, look at the sprint race. He almost ended his race. He's less of a liability. Not that Verstappen isn't consistent, but I mean, when it comes to that teammate balance, you know, that the friendly nature.
It's friendly until somebody touches a side pod, as we found out during the sprint. And I mean, if the race itself was pretty good, and I thought it was a genuinely decent race for what it's worth, a lot of action. I know Mallory Clare in the chat agrees. I enjoyed that race. I did too, Mallory.
Really good.
The sprint was phenomenal. The sprint was incredible. Like if you have not watched the sprint from Saturday, go out of your way to see it if you didn't already, because that was about as good a portion of racing as you'll ever get, with changeable conditions, intermediates coming into play, mixed strategies, plenty of action. I don't think you could ask for much more out of a sprint. I don't think that was the format. I think that was just the coincidence of changeable conditions, and Austria just produces good action in general. I'm not surprised F1 announced today they're tying it down till 2030, because I think just overall just a very good weekends of action for Formula One, which I think they needed. We're given
100%. I mean, that was the best sprint race since they introduced that kind of.
I agree.
Kind of format. But also, one thing about Austria, I was thinking, it's going to be loads of DRS trains, and it's going to be obviously it's going to be a set grid, and no one's really going to overtake as much as you'd hope. But no, just completely wrong. It was overtake central, and the racing was quality, and the changeable conditions of the sprint, you rightfully said, was made it a right joy to watch.
Absolutely, completely agreed. Get a couple of guys in the chat here as well. Get your comments in the chat if you're watching along with us. I'll try and get as many as I can in during the show. Jason says, "Yep, 249 laps led in a row is third all time behind Ascari, who had 305, and Ayrton Senna with 268 on that one." So thanks, Jason, for the factoid on that one. 1:30 a.m. in the morning here in Australia. Thanks, Ozboomer, for the dedication to tune in at 1:30 in the morning for us. That is loyalty. Stuff. I love it. Thank you very much. And again, keep getting your comments in. And of course, I'm about to open up the tier list, so look forward to that. I'm going to pull it up now any second here. Did
you want to start chatting about it now? Do you want to
yes. Yes, let's get it going. I've opened up the tier list so you guys can see it at home. Guys in the comments, chip in as ever if there is a disagreement between us. I will happily refer to the chat. So good luck. Get your opinions in. Should we get the obvious one out of the way now? Should we just stick Max in S again and just have done with it?
Whilst he wasn't anywhere near the driver of the day on like the ratings that people gave, he's so consistent you can't overlook him. He's going to have to be S tier.
Yeah, pretty much flawless all weekend. On pole, although again Charles had to make him work for it on that one. Sprint almost got a bit clumsy there with Checo, but again won the sprint and just dominated the Grand Prix yet again. I mean, you can't really argue. It's every time since I've done this format change, we've gone to the tier list. Since the Spanish Grand Prix, I've put Max in S. Every time. There is no argument for me not to put him here. I can't come up with one. Every time I've done it, I've had to get Max out of the way early because it's just a waste of time even debating whether he goes anywhere else. Now,
that's completely fair. Yeah.
I know you mentioned him a minute ago, and I think he also belongs in S. Lando Norris, I think I'm putting him right at the top here. Is that?
Yeah.
I think given the phenomenal 5th place.
Yeah.
There and beating Hamilton on merit over the course of that Grand Prix as well. And we all know that the Mercedes is a stronger car. I don't think there's any arguments on the chat.
But is it though? Is it a stronger car now? Because obviously Norris has all those upgrades. Piastri does not. Is it a stronger car anymore? I'm not taking anything away from Norris and his performance. His performance was stellar. Like he was a very solid driver throughout the whole weekend. But now that McLaren begs the question of have they pipped Mercedes to car performance around certain tracks? Must be said around certain tracks. I don't know. Obviously, I haven't seen slow speed corners performance etc. against the comparable. But
I would say
you never know.
Yeah, I would say. Let's wait till Silverstone next weekend because Lando, I think, has always gone well in Austria. He loves it around there. He's had podiums before. He loves that track. And yes, it's a bit of a wild one because his teammate Oscar Piastri, who didn't have the upgraded car, was way down the order. Not entirely on him. He clattered his front wing in a bit of a pile-up in middle distance. We'll get to him later on. Yeah. But... again, driver of the day winner was Lando Norris on this. I think it was about 25% of the vote.
Deserving.
And absolutely deserving. I think he's another easy S pick. Now, here's another one. I don't normally get to talk about in this early, but are we putting Checo in S as well for that comeback? 15th to 3rd. But Bart van der Laan made a very good point here. It's like, he puts a question in the chat and he says, is this purely the Grand Prix or the total weekend? Because that's a fair question. Because... if we're talking purely about the race, I think 3rd was just about the best he could have hoped for.
I would like to say let's talk about the whole weekend because there's a driver later on that I want to talk about their performance yesterday.
Sure.
Let's say the whole weekend. I wouldn't put him S, obviously. He fluffed it in qualifying.
Big time, yeah. Again.
He couldn't keep it within the lines. He had the pace, but he just couldn't keep it within the lines. And obviously that's what it comes down to. At the end of the day, everyone's got the same set of rule book. So I would say maybe
A
tier. A.
The chat.
He made up for his mistakes.
The chat doesn't know what to do with this one. It's like I've seen Alan Montas says S for Checo. Mega versus Prime says B or C. Sai says A because starting 15th in the Red Bull is nah, bruh. Which I think is a very way of looking at it. If you're taking the qualifying into account, which I don't normally do, but I will make an exception in this case, I think that's fair. I think, given how dominant that car is, I think as well, given how long he took to get past Carlos Sainz, I think he had a genuine shot at 2nd.
Tell a lie. If you're maybe between A and B, because obviously his racecraft when he was trying to get past Sainz, 2 or 3 laps, he let Sainz get the DRS over him. When he should have maybe thought about that more. Where I was watching it, I couldn't actually hear the team radio, unfortunately, really. So I don't know what the communication was between them. But did Red Bull eventually say to Checo,
I think they did.
You need to hold back a bit. Checo should have really known that.
It might be a different. Yeah, it's. I don't want to be the skill issue guy, but I think it was a skill issue guy, a situation where it was like Max just did it instinctively because he's played that sort of DRS chess, as I like to call it, before, and I think Checo had to be reminded on the radio, don't forget about DRS into turn 3. So the chat saying B and C, B overall, C for everything before today, A for today. I'm gonna leave him in A. I think I'm going to leave him in A. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on this one. I think that was a good comeback for him. I'll leave him there. Maybe the chat can talk me round later on this one. Now, here's an interesting one, because I think people might look at this one a bit cynically. Charles Leclerc. He was second. Now, I think he's debatable S here. Because I don't think he could have done much more with that Ferrari than was their best result of the year so far. Second place.
They would never have beaten Max. No. But I reckon if Ferrari had their strategy, which they made the right call for both of their cars, if they had made better pit stops because they were a bit slow.
They were a bit slow.
And also if they swapped over Sainz and Leclerc when Sainz obviously had better pace, I reckon Sainz could have been a bit closer to Max and maybe pushed Max to not get the fastest lap.
Yeah, so is that more of a Leclerc problem or is that a Ferrari execution problem?
I reckon it's more a Ferrari execution problem. However, It has a knock-on effect to Leclerc simply because if Sainz was given the opportunity, I reckon he could have made better use of it. Therefore, it's either an A or an S for me. It's tricky. I'll leave the final decision up to you.
Oh, tricky. Because the way I've got it on my screen right now, I've got both Ferraris in S. Because
okay.
I don't think either Ferrari really did much wrong.
No, which is very unusual.
Which is a rare comment for me to say, and then Sainz defended that podium spot like his life depended on it.
Did a good job there.
Carl Harrison says Sainz had better tyres at the start, mate. Leclerc had used tyres at the start. Maybe that factored into play as well. But again, I think Sainz was genuinely impressive.
He had better tyres, but they weren't much better tyres, really. And Sainz's pace was a bit... It outperformed that tyre deficit, in my opinion.
I think the chat swung me around. I think I'm going to put both Ferraris in A.
Oh, in A. Ooh, whoa. Whoa. Where did that come from?
Yeah, Lucas says both Ferraris in A. Sainz probably in A. Didn't he get a penalty? That's a good point as well. He did get a time penalty for track limits.
I think that's harsh.
I think it's a little harsh.
I think that's harsh.
Especially given half the field.
What else could you have wanted from them, really?
This is a tough one. This is one of the tougher ones I've had since we've gone to the tier list format. I don't think the chat's quite sure either. So, you know what I'll do?
What about an A plus? A star.
I'll put Leclerc in S and I'll put Sainz in A. I think that's fair.
Okay, because of the 5 second, sure.
Yeah, I think that's better. I think that I like that a little better. How I'm looking at it right now, but I could be being a bit generous there. We'll have to say again. Chat, I'm sure will tell me otherwise. Also, I think this is the first time I'm probably not going to put Alonso in S. Because,
yeah, I mean, he kept his nose out of trouble. He didn't have any penalties, I believe.
Yep.
A. Solid performer, but nothing outstanding.
Yeah, I think that's fair. 6th place on the day. I don't think Aston Martin were just as strong this weekend as in general.
Not really.
And the thing is, this is going to be interesting because I put Alonso in A. Now, what do we do with Lance Stroll?
B.
Because Stroll, I think he was a little bit unlucky because I think he had a pit stop under VSC and the VSC ended as he was in the pit lane. So that advantage he would have gained, he kind of lost out. And he did beat Alonso in the sprint as well, that's worth pointing out. So I want to say B here for Stroll. I don't think he was bad all weekend.
Put him on B. Yes, he lost out a bit under VSC. He gained. He still had that little bit of an advantage. It ended as he was in the pits. But no, I think I'm happy with putting B.
I'm happy with that too. David Holbrook, you fire Lance Stroll. Look, okay. I get that some people are very harsh on Lance Stroll. This is probably not the weekend to do it. There's been more compelling arguments to get rid of Lance Stroll than this weekend, is what I would say.
You know what? I think there's a lot of animosity to Lance Stroll simply because of obviously how we got the seat, etc. Because his dad's got the money, blah blah blah. But he's a solid driver. Look at what he's accomplished throughout the years. He's won many races in the lower divisions. I think he's more solid than most of the paid drivers that we've had in the past. So.
Do you know how low you put that bar when he said he's so much better than the other paid drivers we've had?
Well, yeah. And plus he's also outperformed other drivers as well. But I mean, there's obviously that stigma comes with a paid driver, etc. But say for example. Okay, let's bring him up. Let's go for the Nick de Vries, right? He's meant to be this amazing talent. He came into Formula One as not a rookie. He doesn't want to be called a rookie. But yet, Lance Stroll is far outperforming him, even in Lance Stroll's rookie season.
Sure,
for example.
Well, he got a point there.
He's got talent. I say keep him in. He's still got more to give. He's still young, and I don't know if I agree with the fact that. His dad said by the end of the year, him and Alonso are going to be on the same pace. That's not going to happen, but he's going to get closer.
Yeah, okay. A lot of people in the chat is telling me that I've got Leclerc too high. Are you guys sure about this? Like, okay.
What's the reasoning?
The reasoning seems to be that because Leclerc was a bit more crummy on Saturday, which actually is a fair point. About he did struggle in the shootout and he struggled in the sprint. You know what? That's fair enough, actually. I will bring the Ferraris down to A. Are we happy now, chat? Are we happy?
Okay, so we are definitely doing it for the whole weekend. If we do it for the whole weekend, then yeah, put them in A.
Fine. That's fine. I will allow it. Now, Hamilton. No, this might be controversial. I'm thinking C here.
Whoa, that's really low.
I'm thinking B or C, because, I mean, the sprint wasn't ideal, i.e. starting 18th and then not scoring. He was a bit better in the race, but then he was one of the first dudes to get a track limits penalty, and he ended up 7th on the day. It was a bit of a struggle for Hamilton this weekend.
So starting P18 in qualifying wasn't really his fault.
No, it was a little bit.
Impeded.
It was
he made it up to P10 at the end. Eight positions gained in how many laps was it? 24. I think is pretty good, and he had as good of a start to this sprint as he did in 2021 Brazil sprint, where he made up 5 places in lap 1. I don't think that can be overlooked. He did an amazing job there. And when it came to the race today. He was solid, but I think the reason why he got the first track warning penalty was because of how vocal McLaren were being behind.
Oh, yeah, they were snitching. Big time.
That's what sent a domino effect throughout the field. So I don't feel like you can knock him down too much for that. I would happily put him...
B?
B,
yeah. I got him B. I think the chat's largely in agreement. We'll go with B on that one. George Russell? I'm thinking, ooh, C.
Yeah.
Did come back well in the sprint at least. Got a point, but he was one of the earlier dudes to gamble. Race itself.
Yeah, his strategy there was amazing. But if you're talking about driver, that wasn't a decision he made. That was a decision the team made. But overall, obviously, on the race today, he wasn't as profound as Hamilton. If we got Hamilton at B, it's only fair to put him at C.
I think, given he lost out the teammate matchup, I think that's probably a bit fair overall. Let's get one more in before we take a quick break to get the send of the day in there. Before that, let's talk about one of the Haas drivers, given it's only fitting that MoneyGram sponsors us, our friends over there. Let's talk Nico Hülkenberg.
Oh, love him. He's a class act. I think he's absolutely quality. Give him the right car, he can win race after race.
I feel so bad. I feel so bad for him because I think he pulled a blinder in the sprint. You know, again, he was brilliant in qualifying. It's obvious Haas have a huge problem with their tyre wear because they were just struggling again and again.
Shredded them.
Like the Haas just eats tires for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And yet, again, and then of course his car fails during the Grand Prix early doors, and I mean, he can't take anything. I've got Hulkenberg in A. I think he deserves an A for bringing Haas home 3 points in the sprint and qualifying in the shootout incredibly well. I think is that fair for Hulkenberg? I feel like that's fair for Hulkenberg because I think he was incredibly impressive this weekend.
No, 100%. I mean, if he had continued the race, obviously without that failure in his car, and it was still consistent, I would say let's put him in S. But he had the failure in the car, and I don't know where he would have ended up. So I reckon A is very fair for the amount of time he spent in contention on all of the races and qualifying, and the results he had, and the consistency he possessed. A is fair.
I think A is absolutely fair on this one. Now, before we get into the second half of the tier list, let's take a quick breather to talk for the MoneyGram send of the day for the best overtake we had during the race. And I personally, I don't know about you, Adam, but I'm going to go for the entirety of Sergio Perez versus Carlos Sainz, because that was fun.
That was good. That was very good spectator. Now, I was watching this in a bar just before coming to the offices here, and everyone reacted so well to that. It was great entertainment. There's a lot of cheering and all gasps every now and again. I'd say that's very, very, very telling of the most pivotal points of the race. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's go for that.
I think that was. I mean, Carlos defended that podium like his life depended on it. I mean, he was dabbling in what I like to call the dark arts of racecraft. A little bit of weaving, a little bit of breaking, turning in the braking zone. Stuff you're not really supposed to do.
Yeah.
Stuff that's like
sometimes you pull it out the locker.
Oh yeah, like the borderline naughty tactics there. But in that essence, it absolutely worked out for a little while there. Maybe a bit longer than he deserved. And hey, he probably saved Leclerc from a potential Perez attack at the end of the race in a potential fight for second. I still think they got Perez's strategy the wrong way around. I think they should have put him on the mediums at the end rather than the hard tyre. But I for me personally, I completely agree. I think the send of the day goes to Sergio Perez on Carlos Sainz, and even though we should really get a second trophy for Carlos for his admirable defending of that last podium finish. That man was driving angry throughout all of that, and it made some great entertainment. So shout out to those two guys for that one. That was good fun. Certainly made the race a tad more enjoyable. Right, back to the tier list. We've got 10 more guys to break down here over the tier list. Who should we go with next? Do you want to pick a name?
Stick with the MoneyGram.
Stick with the MoneyGram.
Let's go Magnussen. We'll talk about Hulkenberg.
Oh, bottom of the board. Stone dead last.
Yeah.
19th.
What's the last rating we have? Is it
D?
F? D.
It's D. I'm a generous presenter. I don't normally like to roast everybody too bad, but K-Mag just had a rough time out there.
He had a rough time. I mean, again, I do like the Haas pairing, but today, Magnussen and the weekend in total, we had a right stinker. I know he had a couple of problems in qualifying on Friday with the car, but he was quite far off the pace. I would kind of happily put him in D.
Yeah, I think that one's pretty straightforward. Just not a good day at the office for K-Mag. And I think Hulkenberg is starting to wrestle control of that team away from K-Mag after last season. I think Hulkenberg has been the stronger driver over
That's
the course
why I
of the
have
season.
him in my Formula One fantasy team, mate.
Ah.
He's scoring me good points.
He
doesn't cost a lot.
Yeah, do you get points for qualifying in that?
I think so.
Yeah.
I can check if you'd like.
Sure. I mean, maybe in a bit, but I was going to say, fun fact, Hulkenberg has now had more Q3 appearances this year than Checo has.
There you are. There you are.
5-4, which is
good.
Which is wild. So that is going to be that is a more of an indictment on Perez than anything else
exactly.
on that one. But shall we do? I think I've got to put another D in here, and I think it's going to be for Yuki Tsunoda. I'm afraid.
Oh man. This weekend wasn't his bag. He's gotten quite consistent and quite quick. Last year, obviously with Gasly, he was a bit more of the loose cannon, but taking over the mantle of the lead driver, he's taken on his shoulders well. But this weekend, a kind of fell to pieces in the first couple of laps.
Yeah, that opening lap, I think he crashed into the back of Magnussen's car off the opening lap and then outbraked himself on that first lap. I think by that point the car had a lot of lost downforce because of the damage he'd taken and never really recovered from there. And then he got something that I don't think I have ever seen before in F1. He got the level 2 track limits penalty of a 10-second time penalty for 7 track limits breaches. I don't think I've ever seen that in F1 before. So, Yuki Tsunoda is out here breaking records in the most unfortunate of senses.
And put him in the D.
It's a shame because I think Tsunoda's driven very well this season for the most part, and I think that was the first genuinely bad round that I think Yuki has had all year. It's just a shame because I think he's been excellent all year long, and this for only the second time all season, Nick de Vries has actually outraced Tsunoda, and I think for that reason alone, I think he deserves to be in C. I think it's the first time I've put de Vries in C since I started doing this, because
I still don't know, mate. To be honest,
I genuinely think they've got the worst car in F1 right now. They have a Honda power unit in their car, and they still stink. They have the best power unit in the sport, and they're still dreadful. I think that car is cheeks, and Nick was okay in 15th, so I think C is fine for him on this one.
I think that's quite generous, to be honest. He outbroke himself on numerous occasions. He locked up.
Oh, hang on.
Many corners, and
he did get a penalty for knocking Magnussen off track, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, I was going to get onto that. What I don't understand about. I'll talk about Nick de Vries in a second. AlphaTauri, right? I know that they're still a team in their own right. Surely Red Bull would be like, oh, just looking at the car, do you want to just do that instead? A little pointer, nudge.
Yeah.
So they can get them up a bit, because they're Red Bull at the top, Tauri at the bottom.
Yeah. It's very weird, isn't it? I mean, I know Dr. Marco talked about that going into this weekend, saying that I think for next year they're going to borrow as many standardized parts and as many Red Bull parts as they can for next year, because it is I think that's why there were rumors earlier. They said that they might sell up because they were so far off where the main team is. I think they said they're going to put more of their development in the UK as opposed to Italy, where they're normally based. What's the chat saying? D, C, C. I think it's a C.
I think D, personally. He didn't put on a good showing. He made too many errors. He hit Magnussen.
I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think Nick deserves maybe I am too kind, but just this once, I will put Nick in C because I am a generous person, and I thought, why not? It's not like the Dutch need any help in F1 at the moment, so.
Yeah, no, they're cheering away, celebrating right now.
Yeah, C's and D's, I think it's a pretty even split. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt on this one because my general benefit of the doubt mentality is if it's close, give him the higher grade.
Fair enough.
Is it going to be D for Oscar Piastri? A part of me wants me to think he wasn't too bad, especially given he was in the unupgraded McLaren, but then he did get caught out with the front wing change. Is he down the bottom here?
Well, he didn't have much pace, right? I reckon that's mainly due to the car itself. He didn't do many wrong things. No. He did some, but only minor wrong things. So I reckon C would be fair for him.
What's
the chat saying? The
chat is still kind of split on de Vries, which I think there's a lot of debate here about de Vries. C for Nick.
There's so much talk around de Vries at the minute with obviously comments that were made about him.
They want D for Piastri as well. Wing damage and an extra stop. Yeah.
The amount of cars that got wing damage in this race, though.
Well, it was that sort of Grand Prix, wasn't it? I mean, it was like Austria has a knack for this because everybody bunches up at these really heavy braking zones, and there's always a greater chance that you get a bit some front wings getting jangled here and there. So The chat's talked me round on this. I think it's going to be D for Piastri. Okay, if I gave you the freeze in C, does that balance the books, chat? you tell me. Tell me how much I stink in the comments.
Good stuff.
The chat has a lot of power. Let's have a look here. I want to give Alex Albon at least a B because he's 11. Yeah, he was 11. I think he fought very hard. I think I would have, if he got a point, I would have probably given him A. But he did get. He was part of the track limits penalty club, which probably didn't help. And we wouldn't have got him a point in the end because Lance Stroll was gunning him down at the end of that race, and he was he was out there. But I think 11th place is not a bad result for Williams. They'll be a bit disappointed he didn't get a point out of it, but it was another valiant effort, I think, from Albon.
No, absolutely. He didn't really put a foot wrong. There wasn't much TV coverage about him, to be honest. And that's normally a sign that they're doing good, not extraordinary. They're not doing bad, just middle of the pack. So yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yep. Chat largely agrees. Yep, B overall. I think it's fine for him. Let's stick with the Williams theme. Logan Sargeant. Sargeant was actually a bit closer this time round. I think, within about 15... I think that was one of his better drives since joining Williams. I'd say C, I don't think he was dreadful out there. I know he got a late penalty right at the end for track limits. I don't think it would have made a huge difference in the end. But I think Sargeant in C, I think is a bit... I think that's fair.
I think that's fair. I mean... You could even make the point of, you could even put him bordering on B, to be honest. I think it's a high C.
It's a high C.
It's a high C.
I'll put him to the left side of the tier, just to make it look like it's closer. I think C. Yeah, again, chat largely saying C's, unremarkable but not dreadful. Yeah, I think that's absolutely fine. Nandit saying C, Jason saying C. Bart Van der Land says C. I think we're in agreement on that one. I think C is fine for Logan Sargeant. We got 4 dudes left. Valtteri, Valtteri. Part of me thinks D, but I think he had a damaged floor right from the start. I think he drove over some debris, and I think
that was the wing of
Tsunoda. Yeah. I think it's like the 3rd time it's happened this season where Bottas has driven over debris and it's damaged his floor. The man is so unlucky.
He knows how to win around Austria, doesn't he?
He does.
He's won before. I think it's harsh to be able to put him down in D because his car, he couldn't have got out of that situation without a bit of damage. So he made the best of a bad situation. And it was a terrible situation. When you've got floor damage and it's new ground effect cars, you can't get away from that, really.
No, you lose so much downforce. Yeah.
I reckon it's going to be a C.
Yeah.
D's a bit too harsh.
Again, I think the chat has taken mercy. I think they've also said C. Bit benefit of the doubt given, again, his entire race was compromised after turn 1. That's not on him. I know Alfa Romeo's not a particularly strong team at the moment, but I think that's absolutely fair as well. We've got... Look, did the show get another award for guy who was just here? we can confirm that. Joe was here. He attended. He was in 14th apparently. You would never tell by the TV coverage.
Yeah.
Is it another C? I think 14th isn't dreadful for Alfa Romeo given where they're at the moment.
Yeah, put him C.
C, I think that's fair as well.
I haven't really got any comments on him, to be honest.
Yeah, he was again, Joe. That might be. I joked about this because we now put these tiers on the website as well. So in case you miss him, you can see the highlight version on our website, WTF1 official, WTF1.co.uk. You can check us out on there. I now put the written version up of this every week, and I literally said, Joe, we can confirm he attended this race, which is
good stuff.
That he gets my participation trophy award for the second weekend running. So well done, Joe. We can confirm you definitely showed up. Nothing massively egregious. Just was kind of there really. Joe did beat Bottas in sprint quali, sprint race, and main race. So B-, C. Jason says C. Zhou still has drip. He does have immaculate drip. That I will not argue. If it was drip, he'd be right up here. But I think C's about right. Let's have a look. It's just the Alpines left, who again were just kind of there, really. Like Ocon, like Gasly didn't do too bad actually to get 9th place in the end.
Where did Ocon finish in the end?
12th. He was just kind of here, and again, I think he was a track limits guy as well. I think.
Yeah.
Is B for Gasly and then maybe C for Ocon? I think Ocon's a little down.
I was thinking that.
And then Gasly and B for 9th place.
Yeah.
Guys in the chat, real quick, if there's any more changes you think I should make before calling this list final, do let me know, because make it quick, because we've got a couple of minutes to get out of here. Gasly B, Ocon C, says Lucas, so he's in agreement with us. B for Zoe, I can't get there on that one, personally. So if any last minute changes, do get them in. But before we get out of here, Adam, tell the good people where they can find you.
Beautiful, thank you. Instagram at Adam Sanderson, Adam_Sanderson, sorry, and to be honest, same as Twitch. But on Twitter, at Adam_Sanderson with another N on the end. That other one was taken, unfortunately.
As a guy who, when I was first a content creator, for those who don't know me from before my WTF1 days, I was Harrison101, and that was taken when I first joined Twitter. So I had to say I was in high definition because I called myself Harrison101 HD for a little while.
Nice.
So yeah, I know exactly. How that feels. Just the struggle is real when if you're not one of these early adopters for anything.
Funny enough, on Instagram, I used to be the same Adam_Sanderson with another N.
Right.
And then the guy that had Adam_Sanderson messaged me about 5 years ago when I was at uni, saying, "Hey, can you take this username off my hands? Because I was doing all my modelling and acting, and I used to get a few people asking me to go and shoot and work and stuff, and they're like, "Look, could you just take this? Because they're thinking I'm you." I was like, "Yeah, sure." And we did a little swap, and there you go. It's easier. Adam_Sanderson.
I wish I had that luxury. That's brilliant.
It was nice of him. He was a nice guy.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I wish they reached out to me on shit like that. That's great. Pardon my language there for a second. It's apparently a family show, but yeah, I think we'll let one sneak out.
You can get away with one. It's fine.
It's a 12-8. It's fine. You get one F-bomb. Let's have a look here. Any last cleanup comments? Alonso to B,
We had him in C, right? Yeah.
We had him in A.
Oh, did we?
We did have him in A. He was beaten by Stroll on the Saturday. Man, I think he was a bit...
That was before we said that we're definitely going to do the whole weekend, wasn't it?
Should we move Alonso back down one to B, maybe? Is that fair?
What was the finishing positions on the sprint?
Because I think Alonso was 5th because he was trying to get past Stroll right at the end and couldn't do it. Stroll held on to 4th. And maybe some generosity towards Hamilton because Hamilton did have a brake problem.
I still think keep him where he is, because if you look at how close they were in the sprint and Alonso was trying to pip him to the line, if you look at the difference between them on today's race and you want to put them in the same rating category, I don't think that's very fair.
Indeed. And
you got to also remember that Aston Martin isn't the best in these types of tracks where it's just loads and loads of DRS zones and stuff.
That's true.
And the twisty turny. So I still do think he performed well. Obviously, he could have performed a little bit better. He had a bit more performance. But I feel like putting Alonso and Stroll in the same category, I don't think is 100% fair.
Okay, so
Feel free to disagree.
Shall we compromise and just put them both in B for both Aston Martins in B? Because I think they were pretty close most of the weekend. Is that fair? Is that fairer?
It's not the most outrageous thing I've heard. If you want to, feel free.
I think we'll do that. I like that look a little better. I want to give Nico his shine for the Saturday. I think A's fine. I think Fernando again was a little anonymous this weekend by comparison. I think that's a little fairer. Okay, I'll that's my final list. I'm going to settle it like that. I think that's I'm happy with that. Cool. So that'll do it for the WTF1 wrap powered by MoneyGram. And I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. Again, we'll be back next week. And I'll be back next week as well. I will still be home. I'll be back from the WTF1 Clubhouse on Sunday. So don't worry, the wrap is going nowhere. I'll still be in Studio Harrison for that one. So do look forward to seeing you right after the British Grand Prix ends. Probably same time. I think it's a 2 p.m. start for that next week. So same time, same channel. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Big thanks to Adam for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Ever. He was very fun as ever. So thank you all very much for watching along with us. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thanks to everyone who chatted in the comments as well. Fantastic feedback as ever. Really do appreciate that. We'll catch you guys next week for the British Grand Prix WTF1 wrap. Until then, I've been Dre Harrison. He's been Adam Sanderson. Thank you very much for watching. Sayonara. Take care.